Hello, hello, it's DNN Dave. Hope everybody is doing well on this fine Saturday. Um, I am coming to you and I'm gonna apologize right out of the gate here. I haven't live streamed in a while. Why? Well, I've got computer problems. Finally got them fixed today. So I'm happy to be online again. And today I'm excited because I have with me somebody who's been on the show before, and it's Aaron Lopez. Aaron, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hope things are good up there up north, west. No, let me see, northwest. Yeah, northwest.
That's right.
It's good to have you on again. We had a good time last time. We were talking
Yeah,
about, oh gosh, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, design first. That's what it was. Yeah, and that approach.
that's right.
That's like the probably one of the top viewed videos. So I kind of
Oh,
keep that one
really?
up there and featured. So it's
Oh,
good to have you
nice.
back again and do another one.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. That's great.
But today we're going to be talking about a cool little topic, which you can already see the title on the screen. But I'll switch over here just to do a brief, introduction of Aaron. Aaron, tell me a little bit about you and your company for those that do not know you.
Yeah, so I'm the developer at WolfX Machina interface development. I'm a DNN developer, of course, and I use a lot of Too Sexy content to create really nice interfaces for themes, modules, websites, structured content, and all that kind of stuff, and develop a lot of solutions for in that DNN space as well.
That's great. So you're open for business. You guys are operating right now, right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, good deal, good deal. How would people get in touch with you if they wanted to reach out?
Yeah, just through my website, wolfxmachina.com. I also run a blog, which they can, if they want to know some interesting DNN or design sort of skills, they can go there. And I'm pretty active in the DNN Open Help group as well.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. So I think it's openhelp.slack.com maybe. Don't quote me on
Sounds
that,
about
but
right.
try it out and see if that works. If you're not a part of that community, that is a great little community to get some, quick advice on things and all that. So join us over there, and you'll see Aaron in there answering some questions and all that good stuff. So be sure to reach out to Aaron if you need anything, because I guarantee you're going to be impressed with some of the stuff he's going to show us today. We are talking about OpenGraph and what the heck is OpenGraph in DNN specifically, and what that means in the DNN space. So, Aaron, tell us a little bit about what in the world OpenGraph is and why people need to know about it.
Yeah, OpenGraph's a protocol. I only recently learned about it myself. I didn't know too much about it. But basically, when you share a link from a website and you share it on Facebook or Twitter or even your phone, like on iMessage, for example, it shares a card with an image and the title and a description and the link in a really nice format. So instead of, just sharing, wolfxmachina.com and it just shares the link, that's just the text, it actually puts up a nice image and everything. So it just looks really rich and it's a nice user experience.
So, Aaron, I've seen people share things on Facebook, about, hey, we just launched this great website, and they put their link to the site in the post itself, but it just shows up as a little rectangle with the title maybe of the site in there, but there's no image. Is this what you're talking about? Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And sometimes it's worse than that because it shows, maybe like just a link and an X or something like it shows a blank thing or
yeah,
it
I've
shows an
seen
image
the.
that I think the Facebook will try to scrape the page for an image, but they might end up finding an image that has nothing to do with the page. If it's a unimportant image on the page. So yeah,
So I
it's
know I
nice to
may
have
be
those.
maybe putting you on the spot a little bit, but like, where did this concept of Open Graph come from? I mean, like, do you know how it originated or anything?
To be honest with you, I have no idea.
I was thinking it's a
Actually,
Facebook thing, but I was curious. I think they may have came up with the protocol for it or whatever. But it's used by other social platforms too as well, right?
oh yeah. it's sort of an open protocol, so it's used everywhere.
So it's kind of
So it's not
become
just
a,
a DNN thing. Yeah, it's
okay.
for anywhere.
So in DNN, like, are there ways that you know of to actually fix that on a out of the box site or a new site that you're setting up? Because my guess is it's not there by default.
Yeah, to my understanding, the only way you can do it out of the box with a vanilla DNN instance is through the page header tag section, which I believe is under page settings and then advanced, I think. And then it's a page header tags box. And it's just a text area essentially. So you can just dump code in there. You can put any other meta tags you want in there as well. And that's one way of doing it, but it's not a
So these are
particularly
meta
friendly way.
tags. These things that are related to OpenGraph are the meta tags then.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, I think it's prefixed with OG. So
Oh
for
yeah, I've
Open
seen
Graph.
that OG colon. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so my guess is that doesn't lead to a great experience for people, and a little bit convoluted or a little bit hidden, I guess, in where it
Yeah.
is. And the average editor may not even have access to page level settings.
That's right. Yeah, because with DNN's permissions, you could have different types of content editors across the website, and they might not have access to that. And I think the average person doesn't know meta tags. Like the average content editor or client, they don't know what meta tags are. They don't know how to write them or maintain them. And so page header tags is not a particularly friendly solution, simply because you'd have to know HTML, have to know where to go to manage that. And then you have to do it page by page. And if anything messes up or changes, you have to go through all those pages again. So it's not a particularly good experience for anyone, really.
I was just looking here to see if I had a site that I could actually show real quick of how this is done. This is a little bit impromptu here. So you got to vamp for just a second while I look here and talk about something cool. No, I think that, so I guess you could do it in a couple of ways, right? Yep, yep, I'm seeing one here. So what I'm going to do, I'll switch over to a screen here, just so that people understand what in the world we're talking about here. We've got a site here that recently launched, and because it's a restaurant, I mean, they're really active on social media. So one of the first things, we launched the website, and it was like, okay, we're posting links, but nothing's really showing for it. Why is it not showing something for it? So we needed to put a really quick fix, and we still need a better solution for this. But I noticed that this is kind of a one-page website, so we didn't have much work to do. You know what? I think I may have logged out. Yep, I did. Sorry. Let me log back in here real quick, but show people where. Forget that little thing there. I probably shouldn't have done this on the fly, should I?
No
But
worries.
we go into edit mode here and go into the page settings. And of course, I clicked that. Let's go into here. So we're in the page settings and over on advanced and SEO, I believe. So this is
Right.
where we put in the meta tags real quick and made it look. So I think that's what you're talking about, the OG colon, and then there's a whole set of them that's available and possible to put in there. And there's one in there I think for Facebook that you don't even need, but it's like app ID right now. You
Yeah.
don't have to set up that, but yeah. So I mean, obviously this is more technical and developer centric, right? So it's not very friendly for people to maintain and so forth. So, I mean, we'll jump back over, but like I was thinking also, that they've got modules out there. Like I'm thinking of some of the blogging modules and stuff like that that does handle Open Graph stuff kind of automatically behind the scenes, or they provide some settings in there to update those on an article by article basis. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's right. Some blog modules, ones I use, definitely have OpenGraph, and they work great because it's just per article you've got OpenGraph kind of running. Um, DNN just regular pages don't have OpenGraph implemented in any way. I know there is I think an open source module you can download from GitHub. I think, which is one solution. I'm personally always like to kind of keep the number of modules I have installed to a minimum, and OpenGraph is one of those type of things that it's definitely important to have, but it's not like I don't know if it warrants its own module in a sense. So I can leverage the modules I have. That's always kind of a better solution.
Okay, so there's definitely some benefits to those modules and the pages in which they generate or they live on, but that's not a great solution for the site as a whole. You're not always sharing articles or blogs, on that, or even events. In the case of some of those modules that I think support events as well. So, like, how do you envision someone implementing a solution that is a little more friendly for, I mean, even the content editor or the administrator of the site?
Yeah, definitely. So, what happens is usually I get sort of requests from my clients, my customers for, in this case, it actually started off with something as simple as, can you make it so that this page has the nice Facebook card style? So it really just kind of starts there. And what they're asking for is the user experience. They're wanting the user experience to be the best. And that's sort of always where I start. And so obviously my first reaction was, okay, well, I'll give them the directions to get to the page header tags, and then they can put in that code. But that's not really a good content editor experience. That's just too challenging for people who don't know HTML.
That's true.
And it's not even a good developer experience either. Like for me, for example, because even though I know those tags, I don't really want to have to manage those things per page, and have to look through people's code and gather all that stuff for them. So whenever I'm thinking about solutions, I always break it down into three kind of personas or groups. So you have the user experience, you have the content editor experience, and you have the developer experience. And I always kind of think about it this way. If, like, as a developer, I'm also a content editor and I'm also an end user. And if you're a content editor, you're a content editor and you're an end user. And if you're an end user, you're just the end user. So as a developer, if I provide a solution that is maybe works for the end user, but it fails the content editor, and it fails me as a developer because it's not a great solution for me to maintain, then I've kind of failed two people. And maybe if it's, it's easy for me, but it's not a great solution for the end user, and maybe it's an okay solution for the content editor, I've still failed sort of more than one group. And so that's something I always think about when I'm creating solutions. Like, how do you create a solution that sort of minimizes the failure of a certain group? As a developer, I think that the onus is on us to have the hardest job, in a sense. You want your end users to have the easiest job, get what they need. And then second, you want your content editors to have the ability to manage and update those things without having any technical knowledge. And so that's how I approach every solution.
Aaron,
so,
I got to interject here for a second because I'm noticing a pattern with you, and honestly, this is worth the price of admission to this show, right? Is that you do something that is, I mean, really kind of unfortunately uncommon among developers or designers. You seem to have empathy for each user of whatever it is that you're developing, and that's that's a great way to approach it. Like, when you're looking at a problem like this, it's so easy for a developer to slip into the developer mindset of, oh, I can just go into page settings and I can drop in those meta tags right in there because I know exactly what I need. But not even thinking about how somebody's going to maintain that or how they're going to train someone else to do that is not a developer and doesn't even understand what that is. So I appreciate that and I applaud that. So yeah, sorry I had to point that out.
Yeah, no, thanks a
It's,
lot. And to be honest with you, it's not I wouldn't even say it's an unselfish approach because I'm really just trying to make my own job easier. And I know that if I make everyone else's job easier, it makes my job easier. So
that's a
that's sort
great
of
perspective. I like that.
because I always find that, if you here's the real scenario of what would happen. You would tell people go to the page header tags, and then they go, okay, how do I manage HTML meta tags? And then you have to train them on that, and then they break it.
Yeah.
And then they apply it to 20 pages. Now you have to fix it.
That's
So why not create a solution that works for the end user, works for the content editor, and ultimately works for you?
Okay, you bursted my bubble, so it is a little bit selfish, isn't it?
That's right.
No, it's good though. It's good for everybody.
Yeah. So maybe without further ado, maybe I can share my solution that I built using Too Sexy Content.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and share your screen, and I'll swap it over here for us.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, excellent. You're on.
Okay, so basically using that kind of thinking, like how do I get open graph tags on the page consistently? How do I allow editors to manage it? And then how do I do it from a technical level? Sort of taking that approach came to the realization, obviously, Too Sexy Content is a very good solution for that. So I'm just going to drop on the solution of the page. So this is just a page I created for actually my session. So this is just imagine it's a team page. So I'm just going to add a module.
It's a good looking page, man. So when you said for your session, you're talking about for DNN Summit 2021?
That's right, yeah.
That's great.
This was the final page.
Yeah, if anybody wants to check that out, I think if they paid for admission, they should have links, and your videos should be out there, I think, for them to take a look at that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to drop the module on the page. And then I created this module called OpenGraph. So I'll just kind of show you the final solution, final product. And I'll kind of explain how this works. So I've just dropped this module I created called OpenGraph on the page. And it's very big right now. This is just the way I designed it for now. You could make this a lot smaller if you wanted to. But so I'm actually just, I'm the logged in user. So it's saying, hey, this is a hidden OpenGraph card. So if you're seeing this, it's because you're logged in with an administrator account and you can edit this. Don't worry, regular users won't see this card. It's just for us to modify the OpenGraph so that when you share this page on Twitter and Facebook, the links will appear in a nice card style. This is not representative of a real Twitter or Facebook card, but it's just to give you an idea of what might appear. You should always check these two links before posting. And it also tells you the description comes from the page settings description, so modify that field to change the content. Keep in mind that this should be less than 200 characters. I put in a lot of content here just because I wanted to not only give users an area to edit, but also to kind of give them a sense of safety of like, you're seeing this, but no one else is, but it is working if you see this on the page, basically.
So this is cool. You've built kind of like a preview of what it, basically will look like, obviously out of context here, but but it looks roughly what it's going to show on Facebook and Twitter, right?
Yeah, exactly. So originally when I built this, all I had was it just put the OpenGraph tags on the page and allowed them to edit it. But I kind of started to think like, well, why not give them a preview, even if it's not a super accurate one, just to give them an idea of what they're building? Because that's the thing about OpenGraph and sharing links, just the nature of it is that you don't really know what it's going to look like until you share it, right?
Yeah.
So I don't I wanted to avoid having my content editors try to put it in Twitter and then realize that it doesn't work, and then they have to delete it and have to go back to their page. I just want to give them a quick preview. So this actually is a demo item. So if I go into edit, it allows me to put in a title, and let's say it's just our amazing team. And then I can even drag and drop a photo here and click OK.
Huh, that's cool.
And so the kind of neat thing too is that, let's say that they're like, oh, I don't want to manage between two places, because right now this is the title of the OG title, but it's not actually the DNN page title.
Right.
So they can actually just remove it, and they click save, and it just reverts to the page title. So that's what's
okay.
tab. So the title is actually optional in this case. And I'm also grabbing from the page settings, I'm grabbing the page description. I do that in this case intentionally because I don't want to get into that area of, in this particular setup, of making it so that the page description is different from the OG description. I just wanted the user to directly modify this meta description so it's the same.
Okay, so I'm seeing some benefit in the way that you did the title for that, because like titles are often set on pages on sites for search engine optimization purposes, right? To make that be keyword rich of what they're really focused on. Whereas if you're sharing that page, you're not caring as much about that. You're more marketing that page. So
That's right.
I could see how that would be great to be able to make that different.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's cool too, because then you can completely, if I wanted to, I could create an optional description as well. So if that would be more geared for marketing, whereas the page description would just be search engine optimization.
Yeah.
In this case, I'm just grabbing the description, but that's definitely something that could be worked into it.
So I know you're not like delving too deep into code and stuff, but like, how in the world did you do this, man?
Yeah, I'll definitely bring it over. The one thing I just wanted to kind of say too was that one of the great things about the solution is that, and one of the reasons why I had to do it this way is because most of the time, like Facebook and Twitter, when you share a link, I think it just takes a guess at what image it should put up there. But not every page has an obvious image. And so when you force users to actually select an image, then it becomes a much richer experience. So let me just show you the code. So
yeah, and I think a lot of times that image, on a DNN site, the default that shows up is going to be the logo because it's the most prominent one up at the top. Every once in a while, depending on how you did your content and theme and all that, you would get the header image of the page if you did it right, but usually it's the logo, so that's not always the right approach.
Yeah, and also the problem with that too is that you don't have image handling on it, so you don't have control of how is the image being cropped or resized, or is it too big or whatever, too small. So what I did was I just have a C# template, and Too Sexy Content actually comes with snippets that allow you to put in OpenGraph.
Oh,
and
cool.
So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think in this particular version it's broken, so you'd have to actually just get this code or find it on the docs if you can.
We won't go there. We won't go there.
Don't worry, I'll help with documentation when I can. But so basically, it's really simple concept. So we have this. I think this is where it's called Blade. I think
Razor Blade.
So basically, yeah. So I'm just injecting OpenGraph meta tags using this code into the head of the document. So for site name, I just grabbed the DNN portal name. So that's the code here. And then I've got type website. This could theoretically be changed to other values as well if you needed video or something like that.
Yeah.
I think website's pretty reliable. Description comes from the DNN tab description. and then I have image here, and I just have a long string or a long piece of code here to grab that image that I've set. And I also have like a image handler resizer on it to kind of crop it and resize it, and grab the full URL. And then here's a little code. So I say if content.title is not empty, then I put in the content title. That's the edit field, or I grab the tab title. So it actually kind of catches that. And
so you could do the
something.
same type thing with description if you wanted to make that optionally overwritten as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so that by itself is really enough. That satisfies essentially the end user, because this puts in the OG tags for the end user. But this is where I started to make it a little bit more special, because I wanted the content editor to have a really good experience and to feel like they fully understand what they're doing and they're fully in charge of it. So I also have this tag, so if edit is enabled, so if essentially they're a content editor, then I show a section. And in this section, it's really simple. It's just some markup, and I just display the content in a card style. So down here, I just have a card style to kind of create what looks like a Facebook or a Twitter card, just so the end user has an idea of what they're going to see when they actually run it through the validator.
That's great.
Yeah. And so if I were to take this link, so once I actually make my changes and everything and go to the Twitter card validator, I can go through here and it actually shows me what it's going to look like when I share that on Twitter. Or if I go to the Facebook one.
This is great. So tell people, I guess they can see the URL on your screen here. A lot of people don't know that this exists. So this is a great way to test things out as well and make sure you've got it looking right.
Yeah, so it's cards-dev.twitter.com/validator, and the other one is a little bit longer, but just look up sharing debugger Facebook, and that you should be able to find it pretty easily. But yeah, these tools really help you kind of just test your links before you send them out to the world.
Yeah, so what this is doing here, Aaron, I guess, is checking to make sure that you've got your OpenGraph tag or meta tags in there properly. Because if you were missing one or something, it would give you, what's missing. Like this is a good example of what I was talking about earlier. There's still, for whatever reason, a property expected by Facebook that's not even used anymore, but they haven't removed it from the tool here, so you can see that it's missing the app ID. So
yeah, but but when you share, it doesn't make any difference.
Exactly. Yeah, that's actually a legacy property that they used to have. You just have to set up a Facebook app and then put the ID on your OG tags. So,
yeah. Cool. And then, so the way that this sort of works is that I would drop this module page to page. So the pages that I want OpenGraph, which I think a lot of pages should have it, if not all, if you can, depending on if your site is shared or not, I guess. But then I would just drop this on a different page, and I would customize the content for that page. The nice thing about this solution is that, as I kind of mentioned, it satisfies the end user. Content editors have a really easy time of understanding it. But as a developer, this is really easy too, because let's just say we gave someone the page header tags instructions and gave them instructions on how to modify meta tags. If they applied that, let's say you have on one site you have 20 pages, on another site you have 30 pages, third and fourth site you have another 25, 30 pages, then you're managing all those meta tags across all those pages, across all those sites. So this way, because we have it done through the template, if the OpenGraph protocol ever changes or if the requirements ever change, we can just change it through this one template, and then it's applied for the entire site. We don't really have to worry about managing that through the page header tags.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then what I really like about solutions like these are that, obviously from the management side, but it also just sort of extends DNN in ways that it kind of, you don't need to install another module. You don't need to worry about maintaining that module, or if that module is going, being unmaintained or anything like that. So yeah, it kind of goes like there's sort of a missing feature in the core, and then we kind of think around it using Too Sexy content and can find a better solution that also gives it a nice user experience.
Yeah, this is great, man. I could see this being used a lot. So is this available out there, or like how do people learn a little bit more detail about how you did this?
Yeah, definitely. So if you go to wolfxmachina/blog, you can find my post on how to implement OpenGraph and Too Sexy content in DNN. And the code is all there. It's in this particular case, I have it set up with Tailwind CSS, but on the blog post, it's all in Bootstrap 4. And it's pretty easy to kind of follow along, even if you're not like a hardcore programmer or anything like that. So if you wanted to modify it, it's really simple. Like you can remove all this text if you didn't care for it, or you can change it to suit your settings or your customers themselves.
And you don't know this, but I'm sharing that blog on the screen here just to show everybody the nice detail that's out here on this blog. He goes through this in meticulous detail, and it's fantastic describing it. I love it. So really good, really good. So I'll switch back over to our videos here. But so like, what would you kind of leave, I guess, or and just kind of drawing it to a close, I guess. Like, what thoughts do you have?
Yeah, so overall, what I really like about solutions like these, I mean, obviously they satisfy the requirements of the customers. They make it easy for the customer. They also train them, and then they provides me something, a solution that I can kind of easily roll out across multiple websites. It's very easy to maintain. But I think one of the most interesting aspects to it, and something that I'm always excited about, developing solutions like this, is that it really makes you think outside of the box of DNN. Because I think a lot of time we think, okay, if we're building a DNN website, we have to build it in a certain way, and this is where you do certain things. But this is sort of figuring out, how do I make something even better, and how do I sort of make the solutions even better without like needing to feel the limitations or the walls of the software that you're working in. So for example, like thinking like this sort of out of the box thinking in this space leads to other kind of interesting solutions. For example, I recently built a navigation using the DNN menu, of course, but the client wanted cards to drop down, like in a sort of a mega menu style, but it was just cards that had text in it.
Hmm.
And out of the box, I don't think DNN can really do a lot with like mega menus in terms
Right.
of like custom content. Like if you wanted to have, icons that weren't maybe page icons, or text that wasn't like the meta description of that page. If you wanted different kind of content or icons or images, you can't really do a lot with that module. But with Too Sexy content, I created a solution in which the module exists on the page, and it loops through just custom cards, and then uses JavaScript to kind of move those cards to the respective menu item in the page. So it's that kind of thinking of, how can I go outside of DNN to kind of make a better solution? I think that's always a really interesting sort of challenge, and it's a lot of fun to kind of make those solutions, and you end up with websites that are even better than you could have if you were just going the typical routes in DNN or the software that you're using.
Those are great points. I'll kind of wrap things up, I guess, here with just reminding people where to find you at WolfX Machina. I was that Machina, whatever it is, Machina .com, and this is his blog on this particular subject with the Open Graph for using Too Sexy content in DNN. And for those of you that do not know, you can go to 2sxc.org, and there you will find some information regarding this particular open source structured content solution that he's been showing here today. And it's also out on GitHub. I thought I was on GitHub, but nope, that's not GitHub. Yep. Let's just go here. If you go to github.com/2sic, that's 2sic/2sxc. There you will find the code base and everything. So it's all open source, free to use, and very actively used in the community. So then there are other structured content solutions out there as well. Some of those are like, let me see, Open Content is another open source structured content solution. There's also some paid structured content solutions as well, like Live Visualizer from Mandeeps, and you've got Xmod Pro from Kelly Ford. You've got Liquid Content inside of Evoke, and all of these could probably be used to do this. Maybe jumping through some hoops on some of the other ones, but yeah, where there's a will, there's a way. But Aaron, I really appreciate you taking the time to walk us through this and show this cool solution. I'm glad somebody did something like this. This is really helpful.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, with that, we'll say goodbye, and I hope everybody has a wonderful DNN weekend. And thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thanks. See you later.